And welcome back to Top Cheddar Wednesdays. I'm Brett to cover the last three teams from the Pacific Division, which is the Arizona Coyotes, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Vancouver Canucks. If you've watched the previous videos, you know that I obviously think two of these three teams will make the playoffs this year and finish top three in the division, and one will be missing out. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the Arizona Coyotes, who had a very busy offseason for their standards. I have the Coyotes as trending up. The pieces they brought in, they bring in Andy Miley, I think that's how it's pronounced. Just a depth forward there. He'll likely spend most of the year in the AHL, probably won't see much time with the big league squad, but solid depth piece. And then the big trade, they bring in Phil Kessel, they send out Alex Galchenyuk. There are a couple other pieces involved, but they're not really that important. Phil Kessel obviously really helps out their offense, great on the power play, good speed, but you lose with Galchenyuk, that nice two-way center who could also play wing. He's a very versatile forward for them. So I know what you're thinking, well, they're screwed. Now they don't have a versatile winger slash center. How are they going to replace Galchenyuk? Well, they bring in Carl Soderberg from the Colorado Avalanche in another deal. That I really like for them. Soderberg, very underrated his whole career so far, and he's going to get a lot more minutes with the Coyotes as he'll be a top six forward there when he was mainly on the third line in Colorado. So I actually think Soderberg is really going to blossom this year. He's kind of a player to watch for in my mind. I think I could see him anywhere between 60 and 70 points even this year. And again, he's very good defensively as well. So a really good replacement for Galchenyuk there. And they bring in Phil Kessel, and honestly, they didn't have to give up much to get him, so a really good move for the Coyotes. And then they also bring in Beau Bennett, who is one of my all-time favorite players. Again, Beau Bennett probably won't see much time with the big league squad either, but another solid depth winger, and this guy still has the potential to score 30-plus goals any given moment, any given year. He could just break out, so watch out for that. So I really like what the Coyotes did. And I'm going to come back to where I have them finishing. Next, let's talk Vegas Golden Knights. All the Golden Knights did this offseason was bring in backup goalie Garrett Sparks. So you could say that their offseason did not carry much flame, but just a spark. But I have the Knights treading steady. They're still going to be a powerhouse team in the West. They bring back pretty much the same squad. They'll get a full year of Mark Stone, who they locked up to an 8-year extension. Really like him. Again, Mark Stone, speaking of underrated players, probably maybe the most underrated player in the NHL, in my opinion, when you look at what he does on all ends of the ice. So I have the Vegas Golden Knights actually winning the Pacific this year. I think they'll finish first, and probably around 100 points for them as well. I really, really like that team. And last but not least, the Vancouver Canucks, who also had a very busy offseason for their standards. We all know the Canucks have a lot of good young pieces in place, and I really like what they did this offseason. They brought in a lot of veteran pieces to complement those young guys and really round out the roster. So the Canucks I also have trending up. They bring in Michael Furland on a 4-year contract, a very solid two-way winger. He'll likely play on the third line there. They bring in Oscar Fantenberg, who's a good, solid defenseman, likely will play in the bottom two pairing, possibly a seventh defenseman, but a nice addition nonetheless, especially given the price they paid. They also, on defense, bring in Tyler Myers, who's a very good defenseman. He's kind of bounced around here. They got him from Winnipeg. Really like that ad as well. Good right-handed shooting defenseman there. Can move the puck well, good on the power play, solid defensively. Justin Bailey is a depth winger that they signed. Probably won't play too much on the big league team, but nonetheless, injuries happen. And the biggest piece, and they actually got criticized for this trade, but I like it for them. They did give up a lot, though, for JT Miller from the Tampa Bay Lightning. I like this because, like Soderberg, JT Miller was kind of playing on the third line in Tampa, wasn't getting as much ice time as he probably deserves. And he will get that in Vancouver. And so I really think JT Miller could also have a very good breakout season for the Canucks. And really like that. All in all of these pieces they bring in just really rounds out that roster. and I really like what they did. So in terms of which team I think will make the playoffs, I'm going to go with the Vancouver Canucks. I think they'll finish third in the Pacific, making the playoffs for the first time since the Sedins were there. I don't know how many years, probably at least 4 or 5. I want to see the Canucks, and I think this will happen at some point during the year, hand the reins over to Thatcher Demko, who's their stud goalie prospect. I think he's ready, and I'd love to see him play and get the starts over Markstrom, because I think ultimately, Jake Markstrom's solid, but he's not going to get you anywhere. So let's give Thatcher Demko a shot, and I think he's going to prove it. Much like Carter Hart last year, I think he'll come in probably around the middle of the season and really be solid for them. Maybe not quite Jordan Binnington level, but Carter Hart level. As for the Coyotes, again, they're on the upswing. I do really like what they brought in. I just think the rest of the division also got better around them, and you still have teams like the Knights, Flames, Sharks that are still going to be better than them. So I have them finishing 5th in the Pacific, right behind the Sharks, well above the Ducks, and missing out on the playoffs. Again, I only have 3 teams from the Pacific actually making the playoffs this season. So that'll wrap up the Pacific Division. Let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree? Who do you have making the playoffs? What do you think about the Kessel-Galchenyuk trade? What do you think about the J.C. Miller trade? What do you think about the Knights' quiet offseason? I don't really think they needed to do much, so I think they're fine. But let me know what you think. And I will be back next Wednesday to start previewing the Atlantic Division as we continue on our season previews here. Leave a like, leave a comment, smash that subscribe button, and Victor will have the NFL for you tomorrow.